I'm really glad that you put it that way. And let me try and steel man, at least the part, you said a lot there, but it was the part towards the end that is juicy. You're basically saying that you're talking about norms and kind of common assumptions of society and how they're formed and the impression that that can have on kids, right? You're saying if it's not talked about, whatever the norm that's kind of going around about, say, gay people is probably going to end up an assumption in that kid's head. Just as one example. Am I close?
Can you say that last part?
Just kind of like the example I gave was if there's just a common assumption, however you want to say it culturally, about gay people, that assumption is going to end up in the head of kids, just by existing in it. Existing in a society that has certain norms is going to imprint, and assumptions is going to imprint those norms and assumptions on the kids.
For most people, yeah. Like if there's nothing else to replace it, absolutely, yeah.
Right. And this is great because when I said the reason, the ultimate reason that I'm against this is the what is it we're trying to do here? And this is the what is it we're trying to do here. And it's good because we can have, it seems that you're pretty open about it and we can have a good talk about it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to stop what's perceived to be the norms and assumptions of society and make sure that they're not imprinted on kids in a way that they would be if we didn't have some kind of intervening action through education.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
All right. And here is where the contention comes into. Are you familiar? And it's okay if you're not. Are you familiar with the book Pedagogy of the Oppressed?
I am Paul, my friend, Paulo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of get where this whole approach to education of doing what you just said, and there's more to it than that, of course, but that is kind of where that originated. And not to say it's bad because it came from this guy, but that is kind of the tradition that we're dealing with, correct?
I don't really know about that, but I don't think it's material. But like,
Okay.
it sounded like
It's
you
probably, it
knew that.
really isn't, but the idea of what that is what you're describing is, whether you want to describe it as Marxist, neo-Marxist, it gets into what I was saying. It's not an essentialist argument, but when I was talking about the different kinds of essentialism, when you attribute what makes us what we are to the forces of society, what you're kind of trying to do is you're trying to, it's cliche, but you're trying to seize the means of production of people, because you're saying living in this world is going to do nothing but perpetuate the way this world is, because this world imprints itself on the young through the structures that we have, through the assumptions that we make, through the stereotypes that exist, based on material conditions that people are born into. It perpetuates this by imprinting itself on young people. And I'm not even at this point, I'm not even going to say whether that's good or bad. But the reason that there's this divide with, Chris Rufo, James Lindsay, pretty much everyone who agrees on me with this at this point, is we don't want that. We think that is bad. We think it's being done for nefarious purposes because, like you said, you're not just you're replacing those assumptions with other kinds of assumptions. Like you said, something has to stop it or replace it, because if it's the world
We're
imprinting
not.
on
No,
them, you
no, no,
can't
no,
just
no, no, no.
block
But
the
that's
world. Something's going to imprint.
hang on. But that's
You're
not
trying
right,
to put a
bro.
different imprinting in place. And
No,
I get
Rocco,
that
you're
you think it's
wrong.
good, but
Rocco, that's wrong. Okay, I never
okay.
said that. I never said we're trying to put another imprinting in place. I didn't describe that either, and that's not what a privilege walk does either. So like if you're gonna say that that's what people are trying to do, you need to justify that because I didn't say it, and I don't think that it's involved in a privilege walk. So where's the replacement part?
Well, we're beyond privilege walks at this point. We're
Okay, okay,
like
fine.
you said, we got into more of that when you talked
Okay,
about all
all
the.
right, fine. But what's the replacement part? Because I did not sign off on a replacement of those stereotypes. So
Well, if
like,
kids don't pick up on, and we're not just talking about stereotypes, we're talking about norms, we're talking about all kinds of things. So if the normal norms and whatever of society are not imprinted on kids, what are they going to think?
if the norms of society are not imprinted on kids, your question was, what are they going to what?
What are they going to think?
Right.
Because norms
What
of
we want people to
society, and
think.
it's norms and things like that of society, like you said, they form kids' opinions. So if we block that, what's going to inform those opinions? What are their opinions going to be?
Yeah. Again, I think that's the wrong question. All right. Like I think you're constantly thinking about
Big
this.
question.
I think you're thinking about this the wrong way a lot. Okay. Like
I think I'm getting close.
you are digging, which is good. And I like the
All right.
curiosity and I like the questioning, but I see this happen a lot with I teach math. That's like my main subject matter. I've been teaching for almost 20 years. So one thing I notice sometimes when I teach people math is like they'll say a lot of things that are correct, but are not like related to the problem that we're working on. But they think there is a relation. That's the same thing that I feel like is happening with you right now. Like you are thinking about the issue and you're saying things that are relevant to the issue, but like in terms of there being an actual uh sequence or like logical progression, it's just
Oh, I can do that. I haven't gotten to that, but go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no. I'm just saying, like, I think it's happening at a micro level and a macro level. So, like, I'm trying to redirect your questioning to, like, let's talk about the questions that are really at the foundation of our disagreement here, which I think
Sure.
are like, um, and I don't want to get derailed by saying, like, I think that these social emotional learning techniques or something are supposed to replace societal norms. Although, I will say I do, and I'm going to just put my own personal opinions out here right now. I do think that, particularly, and I say this on my show, anti racism should be taken on as a national value for America, for the country. So that is my
And
personal.
what would you define anti-racism to be?
I think anti racism would involve number one, a an acknowledgement of our tyrannical racial past based on white supremacy. Number two, it would involve a national dedication not to slip back to those days of the past. And number three, it would involve active measures to make sure that that doesn't happen. So that's what I think taking on anti racism as a national value includes those three things. Thanks for watching. For access to the full length conversation and all of the 2 hour long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support and see you next time.